Diamonds, and our moderator is Tiffanie Petett, who is Director of Sales and at Influential. Really excited to have you guys. Curious to keep this discussion going, and I will kind of leave it to you guys to guide us through the afternoon.
Awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Hi, Bobby.
Hey, Tiff. How are you? Thanks, Tyler.
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. It's a lovely Friday here in Manhattan. So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm so excited to chat with you again and chat with you, for everybody else to hear. I know you and I had like a really fun get to know you sesh earlier.
I know. I know. And it's going to go by so fast. So I definitely want to dive right into it. I'm just excited to talk about luxury and diamonds on a Friday, honestly. It's like the way to end the week right now.
All you need to kick off your weekend is a little bit of sparkle.
100%. Oh, I love that. That's your next marketing. You're just full of taglines.
I'm a tagline machine. That's what I do.
The world will see that right now for sure. Okay, so let's start by talking a little bit about Aether. And you guys launched at the end of the really crazy year that we had last year, and really still picking up some steam in now that we're in 2021. Tell us a little bit about the brand. It's the first carbon negative diamond. We want to know all about that. Let's dive into it.
Yeah, so the premise of Aether Diamonds is, as you said, we're the first carbon negative, first positive impact diamond in the world. And so we're the only diamonds that source their carbon from a virtuous place, which is air pollution that's already in the sky in the form of CO2, which we know contributes to global warming and contributes to climate change. And so our goal is to not just allow you to have something beautiful, but it's to help the planet at the same time. And so you're right, we did launch in December of 2020, right at the end of probably like the craziest year of any of our lives. And we were building the brand during the pandemic. So this was like a total from start to finish pandemic baby business. But what was really interesting for us, we're a digitally native direct to consumer jewelry brand, luxury lab grown jewelry brand. And when we were launching it, we were like, you know what, is this going to work? Are people going to care? Is this even like the right channel for us to be doing it in? And what was so interesting is you think jewelry and luxury jewelry really doesn't work that well for e-com, really doesn't work that well for online only, because if you're spending thousands of dollars on a piece of jewelry, you want to see it in person. I mean, a diamond on a screen is never the same as a diamond in person. There's just like that allure to it. And so we really just wanted to see how it would go. And in the first week, we had $750,000 worth of orders come in on the website. And in the first 4 months, we had $3 million worth of orders come in. Which was crazy. And as you know, I'm one of the co-founders here and the CMO, but from a marketing perspective, we were relying primarily on press. And I kind of lost my mind at the amount of orders that we had coming in, because you're like, okay, wait, now we have to produce all of this stuff. So, but I mean, it was really exciting. It was super fascinating. I know you have a lot of questions about like the ins and outs of the diamond business. So I'll just sort of leave that as like our intro.
Yeah, I mean, want to know everything. I in thinking about in our conversation, ahead of our conversation yesterday, I was reading the Vogue article, and I mean, what a moment. Congratulations on that in general. But it was like, okay, first of all, it looks perfect in a magazine. Thinking it, I mean, I read it on digital, but to see luxury ads in a magazine like that makes a lot of sense. What was even more impressive, though, was everything that was explained in detail on sort of like the process and the differentiators for Aether. So tell us about what that process looks like, and how are you communicating that to your audiences to kind of just, reintroduce them to a luxury category and still values sustainability and all of that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are a couple of things to that. So just in general, our process for making our diamonds, we work with a couple of different partners throughout the supply chain on this. And so the first step is operating what's called direct air capture units. And so these are these atmospheric vacuums, really big. They're powered by green energy. So it's still sustainable in terms of the energy requirements for it. But what they do is they're basically like reverse fans, and they pull in all of the air, and they capture CO2 in a special filter. And then what we do is we take that filter that has all of the CO2 in it and send it to another facility where we're able to take the carbon out of the CO2 and turn it into what we call ecomethane. And that ecomethane is just kind of like a fancy term for a basic hydrocarbon, which is carbon and hydrogen bonded together, which is the usable form that we then put into our diamond reactors to make our diamonds. What differentiates Aether from all of the other diamonds on the market, one is our sourcing of carbon, but two is the overall impact. So as you think about lab-grown diamonds out there on the market right now, there are a lot of brands that are saying that they're sustainably created lab-grown diamonds. What most people don't know, and this sort of gets to your question about like education and information for our consumers, what most people don't know is that regular lab-grown diamonds, whether they're called sustainable or not, still need to source their carbon from somewhere. And so when you hear about the word sustainability being thrown around, they're oftentimes referring to the energy that's used to power the reactors, because those are the two inputs. When you're running a lab-grown diamond reactor, you need the energy to power it, and then you need the carbon as your raw material to make your diamonds. And diamonds are just crystalline carbon. So what other brands are referring to in terms of sustainable is the energy that they use. They use green energy, but they still have to source their carbon from fossil fuels. And so, supporting the fossil fuel industry, inherently not sustainable. And so at Aether, we're the only brand on the market that is not only using sustainably sourced energy to power our reactors, but also sourcing our carbon from a place that is repurposing it from a harmful state of carbon to a valuable and positive state of carbon. And then regarding the education portion, that's something that we're trying to do just to educate consumers around our process. But one of the things in our core mission and our core values is to arm consumers with the right information and the right education, and to have them feel confident in making the right decision for themselves. Even if they don't buy an Aether diamond from us, we still want them to be as informed as possible to make the right decision for them. And so helping them understand what are traditionally the 4 C's, which are cut, color, clarity, and carat. But also we're adding on a 5th C with carbon, and understanding where your carbon is sourced, what the carbon impact of that diamond is that you're considering. So it's not a small lift by any means to try to re-educate and revamp and disrupt an entire long-standing industry, but it's something that we think is really important for us and for the modern consumer.
This is like the most fun science class, like already. And the one thing I love is that, brands that are, are quote unquote, not even say quote unquote, but that say that they are sustainable in nature, there has to be a level of transparency with whatever that process is, and, their means to actually call themselves a sustainable brand. And I feel like you just did that and letting us in on that process. And again, I think a tagline that you use is like, we make diamonds from air. And it's so simple, but it's exactly what it is. And so it's awesome to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think what is so important for us around transparency is we know the modern consumer now is searching for more and more information about the brands, the products, the services that they're working with, using, buying, and they're more and more values aligned with all of their decisions too. And so for us, just doing the same old thing as other brands are doing in the diamond industry and in the marketplace doesn't really work for us, because our entire ethos behind the brand is to make the world a better place. And you can't make the world a better place if you're still obfuscating and only telling partial truths or hiding a part of who you are. You make the world a better place by being truly and authentically yourself. And the only way you can do that is through transparency.
I love that. You're leading into it just a bit in talking about some of the insights that you know already and continue to learn about when it comes to your consumers. What has some of the research been that maybe happened even prior to launch, and then as you guys picked up a lot of speed this year, what have some of those research insights been, and how are you using those to inform marketing decisions?
Yeah, for sure. I think as we've already talked about, the values alignment for purchase decisions is absolutely critical. we love that we're living in an age now where consumers will interrogate every single aspect of your business and try to understand what is behind it, what's going on. There are a lot of people out there who'd be like, oh my, this is too much. Like we're trying to share too much with them. We kind of love it because our whole team here is very curious by nature. We love exploring new things. We love having conversations. We love pressure testing things, and pressure is what we know creates diamonds, right? So in the end, we're only going to get beautiful stuff coming out of it, whether it's theoretical or physical, what we're working on with either our products or the conversations behind them. But one of the things that we never really expected is kind of the realm of category design in what we're doing, which we've had customers come to us and say, I never previously considered buying a diamond, either mined or lab grown, because I know the environmental impacts. I know that the carbon for regular lab grown still has to come from somewhere. I know that a lot of regular lab grown diamonds still use dirty energy to power the reactors. I mean, not even mentioning mined and the amount of environmental and social disasters that come along with mined diamonds. But the fact that somebody is coming to us and saying, I never even conceived of owning a diamond for myself, and because of what you're doing, I now can get an engagement ring or a commitment ring or a wedding ring or even just a necklace that has a diamond in it, and feel proud about that and have it as a symbol of my commitment and my values and where I think I belong in this grand scheme of the world and how I can contribute to a better world. And so from a marketing mix perspective and a marketing comms perspective, that's something that we never really expected, but now we're really building into the narrative behind the brand and how we talk to our consumers, where we talk to them and where we meet them, and how we build community around Aether Diamonds.
Yeah, I mean, so impactful to kind of hear that straight from, the brand's mouth. I was telling you how I went diamond shopping, or window shopping, I should say, at like Cartier and, was looking at that. But to know that I have a future with diamonds now with Aether that I can actually believe in, and I can talk about it, and I can, talk about where it came from and feel proud about that. I think that's something that you guys are doing. You're making it attainable. You're not hiding anything. And it's a category that definitely takes a PhD to understand, but you're doing it in a way that's like accelerating our our knowledge base. So
yeah, I mean, that's so great to hear. And right, like ultimately, if you decide that you want to get a Cartier ring, more power to you. Like, go for that, because your stuff is gorgeous. But what's such a win for us is not necessarily the sale, it's that level of confidence that you feel right now and being able to knowledgeably talk about this. Because if we think about the consumer journey in this, most of the time when you're buying a diamond, you've never done it before. You have no idea how to navigate this industry. You have no idea what the terms are to even use when you're going in. And especially you step foot in a jewelry store, they have all of the power. You as the consumer really feel a little bit powerless because it's their home turf. It's, a whole bunch of language that they use and terminology and pricing that you need to get up to speed. The learning curve is crazy. And so our goal really is to help share more information, empower people, and give them the right tools and the right knowledge and that sense of confidence to walk into a jewelry store or look online and say, you know what, I got this. I know what that means. And I'm getting information from a source that I trust and can go back to time and time again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so as a D2C brand, most D2C brands, what we're seeing now is that there's a huge role for social. If we're thinking about ways in which you're approaching marketing and sort of like what some of those channels are, what is the role of social for Aether right now? And I mean, the second follow-up to that would be, do you see yourselves coming IRL and I don't know, doing pop-up shops or, events and things like that?
Yeah. So kicking off with social. So I'm so fortunate to have 2 new marketing team members that have just joined last week. So this is the end of week 2 for the onboarding process. So I'm really proud of the amazing traction and progress they've made so far in the 2 weeks. And one of those hires is a head of growth, and the other hire is our head of social media and content. And to speak to your question around social, there's a lot of jewelry content out there on social media right now in general. You can, do search for a hashtag diamond ring, you'll get a ton. Our goal with social is to inform in the same way that, at our core brand ethos, we have that education and information aspect to it. But also to help people bridge that gap between where they know their values sit and their eco-mindedness and their desire for building a better world and a better future with the product availability that we have and the product promise and value that we offer. And so that's kind of going to be the main focus for Aether as we move forward. Obviously, we're still a young brand. We're going to learn as we go along, and we'll pivot in a couple of different ways and figure out what works and what doesn't. But what's so exciting for us is we're already developing this community of people who are super passionate about what we're doing, and they want to get involved more. And so we really are going to lean heavily into user-generated content and just the sheer excitement that exists out there for us. And then, as we think about the marketing mix, our presence, what our platforms look like for commerce, definitely pop-ups are in our future, but the main thing, and this is something that I'm always going back and forth on, is our main thing about our brand is that we are sustainable. It's not something that we've taken on, and sustainability is an attribute that we wanted to go after. Inherently, the concept behind making diamonds from air pollution is sustainable. And so we have to stay true to that. And when we think about brick and mortar, the footprint for that is obviously not great. If we would be building a new location, all of the materials, all of the construction, all of the emissions that would go along with that, something that we have to factor in, the electricity that we would need to power all of that, something that we have to factor in. And so where a normal D2C brand would basically just say, sure, let's create a brick and mortar store, it's time. We have to go about this in a much more strategic and detail-oriented way to ensure that we're not just doing it because we think it's the right thing to do. We're doing it because we have the ability to do it in a good way that's also good for the planet.
That's awesome. I mean, refreshing to hear again from, coming from a CMO. I think that it's easy to lean into and, test and learn, but to always, even in this early phase with Aether, to continue to value, what actually makes the brand, and make sure that you guys are kind of practicing what you preach, if you will.
Thank you.
A quick follow-up to thinking about social. What about influencers? We know about luxury brands leaning into perhaps celebs or ambassadors as the face of the brand. Have you guys leaned into that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think ambassadorships, definitely something we have on our roadmap, not for right now and not for the short term or the next year, but we have an amazing PR team that we work with, first of all, who is based out of LA. And most of the traction we've gotten so far since our brand launch back in December has been driven by press. And so we're so grateful for the partnership with them and the amazing results we've had. We also had a really great event back in September with a number of influencers and stylists, all of who are very eco-minded and very focused on how to be more sustainable, how to leave a more positive impact rather than a negative impact on the planet. And what I can say is that the feedback from that event was overwhelmingly positive. Everyone was so excited to be there. We were so excited to work with them and to get to meet them and hear their stories. And what's exciting about the potential partnerships from an influencer standpoint or from just a general promotional social media standpoint is we don't feel like these are transactional relationships where it's, hey, you do a post, we'll pay you this much, and then we'll move on to the next one. We're developing real relationships with these people. We're having real conversations where it's evolving past just the, hey, can you give us a post and a story type of thing. It's, they reach back out to us and say, oh my God, I'm so excited about what you're doing. How can I get more involved? How can I tell more people about this? And I think when you put real integrity and you put real values behind the work that you do, and you find other people who are doing the same thing, it creates this virtuous cycle of people helping other people do better. And that's one of the things that we've been so grateful for, because honestly, we're still a team of less than 10 people here at Aether, and we're trying to grow this brand into something that is able to have a really big impact over the next, near term couple of years and over the next decades. And the more people out there who give us that share of heart, who give us that love and that support, the better we can make the entire world.
I love that. And I feel like you guys are, yeah, I don't know. I'm just really impressed. I think, for lack of a better way to say it. I think that the timing is right. I think that you guys launched at a time where it wasn't about being tone deaf when it comes to your marketing initiatives, and especially working with influencers. A lot of brands were leaning on them to, you know, put a message out there, which definitely helps. But I feel like you guys are saying it in a way that you know, is just very necessary right now. Can we talk a little bit about, I know that perhaps influencers might not be a component, but when it comes to the creative that you are putting out, one thing you guys do really well is make sure that audiences are being represented. Tell us a little bit about like diversity and inclusion aspects of everything that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I think at the core of our vision for the company is building a better future. And when you think about building a better future, that future has to be for everybody. That future has to be equal, and it has to be representative of everybody who is on the planet today, who will be on the planet tomorrow. And as we're building out not just the brand identity, we are very, very consciously looking at this industry and understanding, you know, who is it speaking to? Who is it leaving out? And, you know, we're located here in the Diamond District on 47th and 5th in New York. And I walk down Fifth Avenue every single day to get to the office here. And there are a bunch of jewelry brands with big flagship stores here. And as you look at the advertising, it's very one-noted and it leaves a lot of people out. And so our goal was to not only ensure that we had representation and inclusion, but we were today defining what the faces and the voices of the future should look like. And so we had the absolute privilege of working with an amazing photographer. His name is Joshua Kesey for our launch photo shoot. And those are the photos that you saw in Vogue, which, like, when you work with somebody like Joshua Kesey, I mean, it's hard not to get into Vogue because his work is just damn good. But he focuses on Black and brown skin primarily, and showcasing the beauty that comes along with that, and capturing on film and in video people and stories that have historically not been showcased and represented enough. And our entire ethos with launching the brand was to give that representation across the board, and not just for the talent that you see on screen, in the photos, in the videos. We had for hair and makeup and styling, we were ensuring that we had representation across the board for all of that. And we take that very seriously, because when we talk about diversity and equity and inclusion, a lot of the stuff behind the scenes can get missed, and a lot of that can get ignored. And when you're writing checks to people, when you're giving jobs to people, it's really important for us to make sure that every single aspect of our business has that same focus. And so that was really powerful for us. And I even, you know, I'm a gay man, and I've talked to a lot of founders and entrepreneurs who they're either women or people of color or LGBTQ plus, and trying to fundraise, trying to go out and build a company when you don't look like the standard person who has typically received a lot of money in the investment world. It's really tough. And so I'm an angel investor on the side, in addition to being one of the co-founders and the CMO here at Aether. And my philosophy is only to invest in companies that have founders who are women, people of color, or LGBTQ plus. And that's something that I hope to consistently, authentically bring to my role here as the head of marketing for Aether, because I believe that if we're going to build a better world, we need to have more voices, we need to have diverse voices, and we need to be caretakers of each other so that we can lift each other up and create a better future.
I mean, I love that, because I mean, I wanted you to share that moment with the world, because as a marketer, of course, there's, you know, projects that and things and initiatives that you have and goals that you have in mind. But it sounds like not only is the brand thinking about what they're doing to, you know, practice what it preaches and be sustainable, but on the back end of the marketing work that you're doing, you're also trying to make sure that you're checking those T's and doing it really authentically. So again, hats off to everything you have.
And just quickly, I want to give a shout out to our original two co-founders, Ryan Schuman and Dan Wino, because you know, they started this business, and they support decisions like that in every single way and in every single aspect of what we're doing. And I've worked in a lot of marketing jobs at a lot of companies, and there are moments when you have to make really tough decisions to stand by your beliefs and what you know you need to do. And then the pressures of the business that can be put on you in the wrong type of culture, in the wrong type of environment. And I've never in my time here at Aether, and I don't foresee that I ever will, feel like I will need to make those trade-offs between doing what I know is right and doing what is best for the business.
That's awesome. I know we're at time. There's so much to cover off. I wanted to tell the world about your career and how you've gotten to where you are now. But just to end it, I want to ask you, what are you excited about, and what are you looking forward to with work, with the environment, with the world opening up again? Tell us about that.
I'm so excited about everything. It's very easy to get me excited about things. And I think, what's really fun for us is we're in this position where we're trying to disrupt the diamond industry, and disrupt is an often overused word, but we're trying to shake things up. We're trying to be a little bit different. We're trying to be a little bit noisy. And when you give yourself that freedom to be a little bit noisy and to go in and shake things up, that's when the doors really open for you. And so we have a lot of stuff in the plan for Aether over the next couple of years, where we're going to continually be innovating, doing new things, doing stuff that the diamond industry has never seen before, which, I hope it really makes people look and scrutinize the brands and the companies that exist out there right now in a way that helps them to become better and helps all of us as, a world to become better.
Love that. Couldn't have capped it off better myself.
I was going to say, it's hard to sum it up any better than that. And,
well, thank you both. That's lovely to hear.
Just the commitment to cause base in making the world a better place. And I actually wrote down a new phrase that I'm going to have to take out, which is share of heart. I thought that was a very good way of looking at it and measuring your success as you guys move forward. So thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it on a Friday afternoon. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and keep up the amazing work you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thanks, Tiff. Thank you, Tyler.
Now, I guess keeping with some of the indulgent theme, we are going to be transitioning now from diamonds into chocolate, which is a great time of the day, I think, to indulge. I want to welcome, hopefully everybody is here. I just see myself, but I will do. Oh, there's Mark. Okay, great. And like I'd just like to highlight again, please put questions in the question box. It'd be great just to continue moving forward. We've got a nice 45-minute session with Mark Wakefield, who's the Senior Vice President of Marketing at Nutella and mainstream chocolate at Ferraro. He joined Ferraro in 2007 as marketing director in Canada after many years with Unilever, where he held progressive roles in marketing and sales. During his time at Unilever, Mark was instrumental in developing OMO Dirt is Good, which I'll have to hear more about, and was the driving force behind Dove's campaign for Real Beauty. After joining Ferraro and successfully doubling the Ferraro brands, including Tic Tac, Nutella, Kinder, Ferrero Rocher in Canada, Mark spent 7 years at Ferraro Luxembourg, leading Ferrero Rocher across 6 international regions. And then the moderator is John Margolis. He's the head of brand partnerships at Brat TV, the popular Gen Z studio whose slate of hit original series reached tens of millions of viewers on YouTube, Snapchat, Hulu, Peacock, Samsung, Roku, and Amazon Prime Video. As the head of brand partnerships, John helps top brands such as Mars, Wrigley, Nike, Disney, General Mills, Paramount, and Amazon Prime Video organically integrate into Brat TV shows through custom integrations and original commercials, as well as through talents, social media feeds, in a positive, brand safe, diverse, and aspirational setting. A lot there, which is why I think we get to enjoy this conversation over the next 45 minutes. But with that, between chocolate and great content, I'm looking forward to this next session. So thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you, Tyler. Great to be here, and thanks for having us. Hey, John, how you doing?
We're still figuring out the mute button. It's showing you're on mute.
Well, I think as things go, Tyler, I think you did a great job of introducing me, but maybe I could add some more color
I would love that.
in the interest of
And
time.
I couldn't say Farrar many more times without getting tied up.
And so you know, as you mentioned, I've had the good fortune of working at two great companies. First at Unilever for 17 years, and now at Ferrero the last 14. And I've had a chance to work in different departments. At Unilever, I was in marketing and in sales. I went back and forth, but then I also went over to Europe to work in our global head office of Unilever there in London. And that was a global job. So I really loved that because I got to see different cultures and different environments, and to travel to places that were really quite exciting and new, but also to get empathetic with people and understand what's going on in their lives. And I think that's really important for marketers. So it was a foundation for me. I came to Ferrero 14 years ago when I was the VP of marketing in Canada. And as you mentioned, I doubled the business there. And they convinced me to go to the head office in Luxembourg, which was a wonderful experience, right in the heart of Europe, a little unknown country, but nestled between Germany, France, and Belgium. Fantastic culture, fantastic people. My kids grew up there and thrived and really loved it. And then I got the chance to come back. And that time I was also doing a lot of international travel as well. I lived in Europe, but I didn't work in Europe. I was all over all the different parts of the geography of the world, essentially building Ferrero Rocher, our premium chocolate brand. I came to the US 2 years ago and worked on our mainstream chocolate brands, Butterfinger, Crunch, 100 Grand, Baby Ruth. And I did that for the last 2 years. And I've just transitioned back into the premium chocolate space. So, you know, I'm quite excited to share with the group some of my experiences on both of the businesses, Ferrero, and talk with Jonathan about some of the ideas and some of the things that I hope I can give some value back to the audience here.
No, I think that's going to be great. I can't wait for it. I think once John can get back on, you know, I've gotten to travel quite a bit myself, which was great. Didn't get to live overseas. I wish I did. But, you know, I remember going back to 1999. I remember being in Europe, traveling all around, and Nutella was everywhere. And then I come here and it was nowhere, right? Like it wasn't even a thing. Now I see it all over the place. Like, what was that transition? And do you find yourself finding brands internationally that you can really build here?
Well, I mean, I think that it comes down to the insight, and you have to find a connection between the consumer's world and the brand of the product, and add value. So, you know, we're on a strategy of bringing families, people together around breakfast, but also other occasions on Nutella, and adding a bit of joy and delight to the day, making the world a sweeter place and giving them a smile on their face. And I think Nutella is about that emotional warmth and about togetherness. It's an intergenerational product, at least in Europe. It's the peanut butter of Europe. And so we find a way to make it a little bit more value added in North America. And we've got a number of products, including Nutella on the go and Nutella spread. But it's a wonderfully delicious product, very indulgent, and I think it's about giving a positive uplift, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it's one of those things that people, when they discover it, they find it irresistible, and it's something that we're continuing to develop here in the U.S.
Awesome. Well, I know my kids love it. John, it's great to have you back. I will pass it over to you.
Yeah, sincere apologies. As soon as I clicked to join, my computer just completely crashed. So apologize, Mark and everyone. But sorry what I missed. But if you don't mind, I'll introduce myself. I'm John Margolis, head of brand partnerships at Brat TV. And for those of you who don't know, Brat TV makes scripted television shows for Gen Z. And so kind of think of it like a CW network or Nickelodeon for the digital age, as our shows are mostly online versus linear TV. So the Brat name kind of comes from those 80s Brat Pack movies, those coming of age stories for like an underserved audience. And we reach about 75 million unique viewers per quarter, mostly on YouTube and Snapchat, so users can watch for free. But we're also on almost all the streaming platforms like Hulu and Peacock, Samsung TV, Roku, Amazon Prime Video. So they're studio quality shows. Our actors are mostly social media stars from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, who are actually now like more popular than traditional celebrities. And my team works with like great brands like Mars Wrigley, Nike, Disney, and we do some really fun product integrations into our shows, like having actors eat your candy or wear your shoes or eat at your restaurant. So we can write really cool branded moments into our shows. We can do full custom commercials. We work with influencer partnerships across all social platforms. But at the end of the day, today's digital and social world for Gen Z has kind of like a lot of dark and toxic places. So we really aim to be a safe and positive, joyful, and diverse place for kind of Gen Z to spend their time. So we're hoping to make a difference in that sense. But that's pretty much Brat in a nutshell. So enough about me. Mark, I don't know if you've already done your intro. Well, I missed it, but so I can.
With Tyler, because it was just easy to do and helped you get your tech working. We're all in the same boat there. Everyone's trying to get the technology working on their side, and so it's great to be here, John. I'm looking forward to our conversation. We had a good discussion the other day, so happy to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Well, I'll just jump right into the questions then. So I'm sure you gave a little bit of background, but I know you're a premium brand. So we kind of talked earlier about kind of celebrating the moment, treating yourself to something special. So would love to hear about how you're incorporating that into your marketing.
Yeah, well, I think celebrating and making the moment special is ever more important today, especially in a world of tension and the extended pandemic. And so I think that it's really important that we find ways to celebrate and enjoy those special moments. And as a brand and as a product, we try to do that, elevate and enhance and add value to the moment. And it does start with our product. I have to give hats off to our people in the plant and the manufacturing and in the supply chain who are doing an amazing job during this tumultuous period to make sure that we have the product and it's in its most fantastic form and freshest quality. When you taste a fresh Ferrero Rocher, in my expression, is like you've died and gone to heaven, because it's melts in your mouth, crunchy, crispy, and hazelnutty, obviously. But it's about the product. And it was interesting to have the previous speaker talking about diamonds, because we think of our product sometimes like a little luxury, something that's like a precious product. And that's